We're doing it. We're doing it, right?
We're doing it.
All right. So, I guess we decided we were just going to get together and talk about how Dallas has ruined our lives.
Not ruined our life, challenged our lives. No, ruined.
Ruined, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been ruined. No, I mean, it's been okay. You know, we met each other.
True. Very true.
That's really it. We've spent some money since we've been here.
Spent more money living in Dallas than I've probably made in my entire life.
I've spent more money this week, I think, than I've made my entire life. Klarna.
Yeah, just 4 equal payments of $29.99.
Yeah, so I thought it would be a good idea to create a podcast on our lives, or rather the disasters of our lives.
The funny parts, right? The good ones.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Funny parts?
Yeah, I don't want to cry.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a good crier.
Crying's overrated.
I don't have tear ducts, so that wouldn't work for me.
They've dried up in this Texas heat.
Sure. Couldn't be all my failed relationships, right? It's got to be this Texas heat.
It's this Texas heat.
Yeah. But yeah, so I decided that I wanted to do a podcast and talk about the funny parts of our lives. And actually, just recently, something came up, not for me, because I actually have not been dating or really even making the attempt to date, because I've been a good Christian boy for the first time in my life.
Such a lie.
But something recently happened for you.
It did. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
Talk, laugh, strategize. One of those things.
Not cry. Whatever we do, we can't cry.
Absolutely not.
So, first off, tell me a little bit about how dating's been going for you. Just...
You know, dating in Dallas, it's so hard to describe. Anyone that knows dating in Dallas knows that it can be quite the challenge because you don't exactly know what you're going to get. You think you're going to get what you see on the dating profile, but you don't. You think you're going to get what you see in the app, and you don't. So recently single again.
How recent?
March, April.
So during quarantine.
During quarantine.
You had a quarantine breakup.
I had a quarantine breakup.
Which is so brave.
Yeah. You know, there's only so much you can put up with, especially when you're stuck in the house with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a lot of failed relationships that are going to happen because of this.
It's very sad. It's very sad.
Is it?
Well, you know, it's very aggravating. You put so much in and you don't get enough back out, but, you know, it's neither here nor there. But, yes, single again.
That's every relationship, by the way.
Yeah.
You're always going to put out more than you get. Or you're just going to put out.
Well, you know, I'd like somebody to fill my glass for once instead of me filling everybody else's.
Well, let me know how that works out.
Yeah, it's...
we're middle-aged,
yeah,
so...
Yeah, we're reaching the end of the Dallas Prime, which I understand is 36 or 38, right?
Oh, God, I'm closer than you are then.
Yeah, just by like a month or two.
Thank God I've had a lot of work done.
Yeah, well, yes.
Because then nobody knows that I'm reaching that age.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you get ID'd, I don't. So there we go.
I forgot about that. I did.
In the great state of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go me.
Yeah, but you know, the funny thing is that as you become single, you know, you download the dreaded apps. And I talk about the dreaded apps. You know, the Grinders of the world, the Tinders, the Bumbles.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst for you?
Grindr. Grindr is the absolute worst.
And I think that that's probably the worst for anyone, myself included, if I had it and I don't.
Well, you know, the funny part about Grindr is...
As of today.
What I find to be hilarious is that you will go on and find upstanding, what you believe to be gentlemen that are on Tinder talking to you with some of the best tongue you've ever heard of, right? They give you some of the best words and the best lines, and they want a real true relationship, and they want to be involved, and they want to support you. But yet you turn on Grindr and you find that they're looking for the next piece of hot dick or hot ass that shows up. And you're like, how can this be? Because he was just talking about going to church not 24 hours ago on his Tinder profile. But tonight, he's ready to go jump in the sheets.
He's going out tonight. I guess.
It's tough. It's very different. Then there's Bumble. I find that Bumble is a little bit more authentic. And of course, people are inclined to disagree. People have different experiences with these apps. And then, of course, you have Hinge. Had some decent luck with Hinge. I feel like Tinder is Grindr 2.0. But Bumble seems to be at least somewhat genuine. So I meet this guy on Bumble, and we start talking, and we have a lot in common. And this goes on for 3 or 4 days. And I paid for Bumble so that I could see who likes me, right? Like of course, I want to know who's swiping left. You're
the starfish. You just want someone else to do all the work for you, so you pay so that Bumble, you don't want to have to sit and swipe through your own people. You just want to cut to the chase.
Yes.
And just take out the swiping aspect of it for me.
I have been more successful in paying for things in my life than I have been waiting on them to just show up. So maybe that's part of it. You may be onto something there.
That makes you a sugar daddy, I'm pretty sure.
I've been accused of that a few times, but I enjoy the nicer things in life, and some people are prone to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. That's why you walk around the mall in Gucci sliders.
Yes, it is.
And I'm very jealous because I'm over here eating ramen.
And crisp jeans. But you also just bought a pair of Prada, did you not, this past weekend?
Allegedly.
Yes.
It has not been proven.
Yet to be worn, so allegedly.
Yeah. Well, because it rained today.
Yes.
I was going to wear them today, but it rained. And,
And I mean, who's going to be in a Seagulls at 8 o'clock at night that's going to notice them?
Right. They don't know what that means.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
But okay, so you've had the best luck with Bumble, it sounds like.
Lately, yes.
Okay. And so I'm assuming that said gentleman that you were talking to for 4 days.
Yes.
That's how you guys met.
Yes, met on Bumble.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're 4 or 5 days in. So what was the problem? Where did it go wrong?
Well, so we traded phone numbers and started texting back and forth.
Wait, you waited 4 or 5 days to trade phone numbers?
Yes.
Oh, see,
yes.
There's your person to say. I do it right then and there because I'm bad enough about checking my text messages as it is that to have to rely on myself to go check an app for additional messages. So for anyone that I've ever, on Grindr, for instance, that I've ever said I'm on my way, it's because I'm so ADD, I got sidetracked and I was probably doing laundry instead. So here's my phone number, text me, I don't care. Track me down, stalk me, do what you have to do.
Well, that was kind of what happened. We started talking and I just said, hey, I just said, I think it would be easier if we texted, if that would be okay.
Love that line.
And honestly, it's because I get tired of, scrolling two pages over on my iPhone to get to Bumble. And, there are times when I don't want the push notifications showing up from Bumble. I'd rather it just be a message,
I love it. Especially when you're on a date, I love for Bumble or Grindr messages to pop up. It's a lot of fun. Or when you can actually, because we all know the dings, right?
Yeah.
They all have their own ding.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
The but a bump from Grindr is probably the most recognizable. But yeah, so we start texting, and extremely nice. Tells me very nice things, and obviously I'm telling him very nice things, and we're trying to find out what his interests are versus what my interests are. And the interesting thing is that there are parts of him that remind me of me. He's a little bit younger than I am. He's about 5 years younger than I am.
Okay.
There are, and I can remember 5 years ago the things that I was interested in versus the things that I'm interested in now. And I just thought it was very interesting to learn something about, I enjoy meeting people. I'm very extroverted when it comes to meeting new people. And trading ideas and, finding out what motivates people and why they do what they do and, the things that they enjoy doing when they're not working or when they're hanging out with friends in a mutual setting. Not that we've hung out with friends in a mutual setting thanks to COVID, but it's just nice to see that they have some, good ideas behind why they enjoy what they enjoy. Things as simple as like going to Costco or certain movies and genres of music and things like that you have in common. And what I thought was profound is that he was asking questions about what is it that you seek in a relationship that you would feel whole about. Mm-hmm. And I start answering these questions, and he's answering them back as I was posing the same questions back at him, which I find is very important early on, just because who wants to waste each other's time?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger.
Wait, hold on. You guys, y'all talked about going to Costco?
Well, so he mentioned that he was going to use the weekend coming up to go to Costco on Saturday because he works a lot during the week.
So 5 years ago, were you going to Costco?
I was. 6 years ago, I was going to
were
Costco.
I guess. I mean, I had a Costco card, I guess. I don't know that I actually ever went.
Yeah, funny side story. It's been, there's been 2 relationships that I've added people to my Costco account. And those are the relationships that don't make it. So maybe there's a pattern there.
That's what it is.
There's no Costco allowed in the gay relationships for me because it requires a breakup after they're added to the account.
Well, because that's a commitment. I mean, what is that, like a year?
I mean, sharing your Costco membership with someone should be heartfelt and really profound. There should be a wedding band involved before sharing of the Costco membership happens.
Now,
not anybody can just get 10 cents off of gas.
Are you buying the wedding band from Costco? Like,
you could.
Do you just like sign them up on your account and say, "Hey, let's swing by jewelry real
all
quick
at the same day
before we get an 80-pound bag of dog food"?
Absolutely, or 90-pound. But yes, absolutely. And then you apply for the American Express Costco card, and then you put the ring on the card, and you're just bought in. Right?
And then it's forever.
Absolutely.
Now, how many times have you paid the American Express off before the relationship ended?
Oh, I don't know. Probably at least twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're all in then. You're a committer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had finally set up plans to meet. In text messages, which was going to be Thursday night, which funny, it's Thursday night. We're not meeting. But I'll get there.
Maybe I'm him.
Maybe it's me.
Maybe I'm catfishing you.
Oh, funny you mentioned that. Reverse catfishing, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
So it's Monday night. I get done with work, and we've been texting all day long, back and forth. Just some subtleties about how busy we are. There was a good conversation throughout the day, and then I guess it was around 6:30, 6:45. I send a message, and he and I both obviously have iMessage, so it gives me the delivered versus just sitting there without delivered. And well, the text message that I sent was, "Did your day end up going okay?" And it did not go through.
That's an intense question.
Yeah.
That's an after the ring question.
Is it really?
I think so.
It's after you've shared Costco membership question. I guess I need to rephrase it.
I mean, coming from someone who has been engaged 3 times and never married, I know all about that.
I will start asking you before I send those types of text messages.
You should, because I know how to ruin a relationship like that. Like, I can predict it before it's even started.
Well, yeah, no one could have predicted this. However,
okay. So now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah,
so
send the message.
It doesn't go through.
It does not go through. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here going, okay, well, he works downtown, downtown Dallas. Cell phone service in downtown Dallas is, sparse at times, depending on what building you're in, how high you're up.
So the huge buildings that have a giant iPhone on the side of them
get no iPhone reception. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing how that works in 2020.
I'm in Uptown, so it's like very far away.
Yeah, it is. It's 3 miles.
Yeah. So I don't usually.
It's a trek.
I don't usually visit.
Yeah. So we get to the point where it's been 30 minutes, I guess, 40 minutes, and the message still hasn't gone through.
But you're still hopeful, right?
I'm still hopeful. Yeah, I'm still holding out hope.
He just has to get out of downtown.
The love of Costco's got me hooked. I'm still just, I'm hung in. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this.
The minute he hops on 75, it's going through.
Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
Right.
It's gonna show up. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't. So I send another message and I say something to the effect of, if you get home, or it's late, you can text me. I'll be up for the next couple of hours or whatever, because it was getting pretty late that evening. So that message did not go through. So immediately, I jumped to the, oh God. Well, I work in IT. Mm-hmm. I'm very resourceful. I can find quite a few things out on my own. Very smart when it comes to that. So I had added his phone number with his name in my contacts on my phone. One thing when you do that is there's a couple apps that will look at your contacts and they will match up the number for a specific contact in your phone to determine if they have a account on certain social media. Okay. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, those things. So I open Snapchat and I say, hey, look at my contacts list and tell me if there's any friends that I'm not friends with based on the contacts that are in my phone. Well, lo and behold, there's one that shows up for his name. It then shows up with his name, and then his first and last name are in his username of his Snapchat profile. I don't add him on Snapchat because, bear in mind, he's not told me his last name.
Right.
I'm just finding this out on my own. Mm-hmm. Well, at that point, I start doing some searching on Facebook, find his profile, find his Snapchat. Well, within a couple hours of that night, I noticed that I'm no longer able to find him on Snapchat. I'm no longer able to find him on Facebook. Called a really dear friend, one that's on this podcast with me, and asked, would you mind looking this person up on Facebook and seeing if you can find a profile for them? And remarkably, they respond and say, I'm not finding any profile for this person's name, and are you sure you have it right? And I'm like, yes, I am. It's a very famous name, and she,
it is.
It's a title of one of her songs as his last name.
It is
on the same album. So I'm thinking, well, let's talk through this a minute. So I call you, and I start going through this a little bit, and I'm thinking I'm being catfished. Mm-hmm.
Oh, me too. As soon as I saw the two names, and only someone like me, who is just obsessed with this person,
yes,
would even recognize something like that. Also know what album it's off of and what number that song is.
Absolutely.
Which I was very proud of myself for. But that wasn't the moment for me to be proud.
Yeah, so it was number 5 on that list, and it was number 5 day that we had been talking. So it's just very...
It's an Easter egg,
yeah,
which this artist likes to also put out when she's releasing stuff. So
yes.
It was very fitting, I felt like.
So I text...
It sounded made up, though. I'm just going to be honest.
It did.
It still does.
It absolutely did. It still does to this day, yes. Plot twist, So I then send a message and say, it's funny, your first name is the name of a very prominent singer, and your last name is the very name of the prominent... album song on one of her albums. So are you real or aren't you? And this is based on my past. I've been catfished before, one of which you're aware of, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'd been catfished previous to that. People just sending me photos and acting,
like it's theirs.
Yeah, before selfies were a thing. Sadly, I'm that old. But yeah, before the concept of having a camera phone was a thing, it was very easy to lie about who you actually were. And it still is, believe it or not. So
I used to do that, but I think at the time that I did it, I presented myself as older. Like, I wanted people to think that I was actually older than I really was. Now I'm like,
yeah,
fuck no. Like, when I got called middle-aged the other day, like, that was death for me.
You tell those middle-aged people to go to the casino with you in Oklahoma and order food and a drink, and you will feel better about yourself because you got carded. And
I did.
I did not.
That's what I needed. I think that was like God's way of saying, okay, I'm tossing you this bone because I realize you've had a rough week, you've worked a lot, you just got called middle-aged, like.
Yes.
So I'm at least gonna have someone ID you, and he did, and my heart will forever go out to that kid.
Yeah,
He was a sweet little thing.
Yeah, I have nothing good to say about him considering I pulled my ID out and he shooed it away like it was nobody's.
No, not you. No, him.
Yeah, him, not you.
Yeah.
Well, I then do, I used another phone. I have two phones. Obviously, one's work and one's an older phone and one's my actual number. I used my work phone that was connected to my, iMessage account, my iCloud account. Sent him a message on that, and that's where I said, you have a very prominent first name. Your last name matches the fifth song of the album of this artist, and, are you real or are you not? And some of the messages, it's amazing because he was so worried that I found out his last name.
Yes, he really was. Like, that was his hang-up.
Yeah.
Not the fact that you have just exposed him for taking a famous singer's first name and then using a song from her out. Like, no, he was just like, well, how did you know my last name? Which isn't even yours. Dude, it's not even your last name.
Yeah. The question literally came back from him finally at 9:46 that evening. He said, how did you know my last name? Not about the fact that I accused him of being a catfish. It was, and he said, how did you know my last name? I said, I work in IT. Oh, okay. Well, let's hear it. How'd you get it? So I just told him, Snapchat and your first and last name are part of your Snapchat username. So I went and looked you up, found you, and that's your last name. Bada bing, bada boom. It says, and then he tries to tell me, well, I don't condone stalking. And I said, well, I don't condone catfishing. Right? I was completely convinced that he is not who he says he is because of the fact that you have blocked me on both iMessage, for one. You blocked me on Facebook, or you deleted your Facebook, and or your Snapchat account, because I can find you on none of that, nor can any of my friends. The funny part about that is that he deleted his Snapchat and his Facebook, not just necessarily blocked me.
Which makes sense as to why I couldn't find him, because he doesn't know who I am.
He doesn't know who you are.
He has no idea.
Yeah, and sadly to say, I still have access to my mother's Facebook, and he doesn't know who she is, and her profile on Facebook could not find him. So yes, it is. He was not lying about that. He was definitely lying about his identity, or so I thought. He just says, I didn't catfish you, and wouldn't that imply I'm not who I say I am?
That comment in and of itself says I'm catfishing you, because nobody talks like that. Especially not 5 years younger than us.
Absolutely. In my experience, it has always been that people who push back or people who question the questioner are the ones that have something to hide or they're at fault.
Correct.
And anyone who disagrees with me, you're allowed to disagree with me, but in my experience, anyone who is not who they say they are is asking questions in the third person of, oh, and that implies that I'm not who I say I am? Yes, it absolutely does.
100% it does.
To the point where, he says, wouldn't that imply I'm not who I say I am? And I said, prove it. And he's like, well, answer my question. And I said, yes, it does imply that you are not who you say you are. At this point, I have nothing to lose, right? You're either going to prove me wrong, or you're basically going to work yourself in a hole that I'm going to stop talking to you because you've proven yourself to be illegitimate. You've proven yourself based on your responses.
Right. Because nobody proves that they're right. And that was what we talked about. Like, if it were me and I were catfishing someone, which I wouldn't because it just sounds exhausting and takes so much time, that if someone made that accusation towards me, and I would obviously know whether I was doing it or not,
sure.
And in this case I'm going to say that I wasn't, that I wouldn't even defend myself or question the other person questioning me. I would just be like, okay, like, you're crazy, I'm done. This conversation is completely over with. Mm-hmm. Have a nice life. I'm out.
Yep.
Which most people should do.
I agree.
If you're being accused. But he did not. No, he didn't.
To the point, I said, it does imply that you are not who you say you are. And his response was something along the lines of, so you think I'm someone else other than who I was to you. And I said, I have no proof. You blocked me. If you are who you say you are, what are you hiding? Right? Mm-hmm. I get this big, long, what I call paragraphs. Anytime it's more than 2 or 3 sentences.
It's a book.
It's a book.
It's a book.
If I have to scroll to read it, it's a book.
Sadly, yeah.
I agree.
I've dated people that will
Yes, you ask them how they're...
A whole series of books, actually.
Yes, you say you care about them or show somewhat of interest, and they have a life story to tell you. This just basically responds back and says, believe me, it hurt me to have to walk away from this because I was so excited to meet you. You were like the perfect guy in all the categories that are important to me, but my job takes over so much of my life that it would have never been able to work, and I would not be able to give it the attention that it deserves. And I realized the way my life is right now, there's no way I can make this work. You know, anyone who immediately jumps that far in 4 days into knowing someone, 5 days into knowing someone, I would have to question if you're being truthful or not. You're trying to find an out.
Absolutely. Well, especially using the whole job thing, because, I mean,
my job is stressful.
I can attest, I work all of the time.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Work sometimes 12 or more hours a day, sometimes Saturdays or Sundays, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays. I get the job thing. I never, when meeting someone, or back when I used to meet people before I was a born-again Christian, I never... I didn't go straight into that. I need you to, like, come in and get comfortable and, like, let me slowly disappoint you by the fact that I work so much.
Right.
To where you're all in at this point and it's too much work
too
to
late.
go to leave. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, no, we can't take vacations. No, I can't go to your sister's wedding. No, I can't go to your father's funeral.
Yeah.
Because I have to work.
I'll take a shower at midnight when I get done working. You go right ahead. I will not be joining you. Yes.
Right.
Things of that.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
And I'll try and wake you when I finally get to bed. And that's when you do the whole, are you awake?
Yeah. Or when you're not in the mood, you are you awake?
Yeah. Oh, I do that.
And then there's no response.
Or if they are awake, you just lay down and pretend that you fell asleep.
Yep.
Because you're like, God, I can't. I've got nothing left in me.
Yeah, Advil works all the time.
Yeah.
I just said, you delete your Facebook, your Snapchat, and you block me because your life's so hard. What does, an executive compensation consultant have to stress about?
Coming up with their made-up title, first of all.
First off, I believe it's a made-up title. It may not necessarily be made up, but it may be to the form of it's a little bit embellished, maybe. I don't know. It's just
I could certainly add a shit ton of words to mine.
Yeah.
Magician being one of them.
Yeah. There is no made-up words in mine. Director of Cloud Operations for a healthcare company. And I just assumed that he may have created that title in his head to make it sound a little bit in par with mine.
Mine ends in PhD as well, just
Yeah.
so everyone knows.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor of mortgages.
I mean, it's like just the couple of responses that I got after that, kind of just set me off. And it says, so he says, wait, so we're still on the I'm not who I say I am. You don't think I'm a real person? And I said, yes, we sure are.
Yes, Pinocchio. You're not a real boy.
Exactly. It's like, how would you like me to prove that I am, in fact, first name, last name?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, send me a selfie with the timestamp on it. I said, how's that going to prove who I am? And I said, well, send a picture of your driver's license and cover up all the pertinent info because your name is under your that's your signature under your picture on the Texas driver's license.
Right. Which good for you for saying, because nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to send a picture of their like if someone said that to me, send me a picture of your driver's license.
I'd be like, fuck off.
Right. I would be like, first of all, I didn't make my name up, because if I did, like, it would end with like Beckham or Hilton or something like
Cuban.
that. Roberts,
Yeah.
like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not like no. This,
Westcott. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Simmons.
No. Rockefeller.
Oh yeah.
But it wouldn't be Rockefeller. It would just be like.
Yeah, we're talking, New York City, Northeast, Louisiana.
Yeah, well, or
Yeah,
or Highland Park, which
Yeah.
is just north of Preston Hollow, where I lived. That's where the Rockefellers live, right? That's I always thought
that's a whole nother podcast.
Right? I always thought that Highland Park was further south, but no, it just jumps over that area. So So I get that.
But
no one's going to send their driver's license.
No,
and we all know this. So
I knew this. So I said, you could prove it with your driver's license. Put your thumb over the address and the driver's license number. Prove that the pictures that you sent me are actually you with a selfie. What do you have to lose? To which he responds, this is getting crazy. I would never do this to you. I'm only going with this because you're freaking me out with this stalking stuff. Right? It's not stalking. You're the one that gave me your number. You're the one that blocked me. And then, far be it for me to investigate a little bit. Who are you? Because you've blocked me and now you've admitted to blocking me. And it says, what are you hoping to gain out of this? And I simply responded, other than you're a liar, nothing.
Right. First of all, stalking is when I get a text message 30 seconds after I've posted a Snapchat to my story.
Yes.
And I don't know that there is a notification that one can turn on to notify them when I do that.
There is.
So I think someone's living on Snapchat. Not necessarily for me, but the fact that... Because I don't...
Each time you post.
Right. Because I don't do it frequently enough to where it's 4 o'clock. I'm going to go out there and he will have posted something. I mean, sometimes people think I'm dead because I haven't posted for 2 weeks straight.
Yep.
And then 30 seconds after 2 weeks, getting a text message. That's stalking to me.
It is.
Borderline, at least. So to say someone's last name without them telling you, I don't find that... Now, if you would have known like his address and his parents' name and maybe like his first pet's name or the last 4 of his social...
Yeah, I didn't socially engineer him.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him questions that would have helped me gain access to his identity. I simply found out his last name. It's not like he ever told me his last name, but at the same fact, you created a username on your Snapchat that was your first name and last name. So if you were so worried about somebody finding out your last name, don't put it in your username.
Exactly.
Right?
You don't use it.
Exactly. To which...
I don't.
Yeah. The liar part evidently, flicked him right on the ear because the response that I got to that was, I am not a liar, in all caps. You clearly aren't who I thought you were because the person I never dreamed would do this to me. Who says things like that other than someone who's trying to deflect or act as if they're not the guilty party in this?
Of course.
And he says, okay, 1 second, and I will grab you a pic of my driver's license. I've been in the copy room making binders for a project that I'm working on. Bear in mind, this is 10:30 at night, okay? My driver's license is in my backpack at my desk. Give me a few. And I said, okay, I'll give you a few. That was at 10:21.
And at that point...
I expected him to block me again, go away,
Right.
never send me a picture, nothing.
Because no one's working that late except me.
Right.
That type of title, you're not carrying a backpack.
No.
Right?
One would think, not that I necessarily know of, yeah.
Right. So, we both see a lot of flaws in this story. Thinking that you're not going to get the picture of the driver's license.
That's right.
And because no one is ever going to send that. You would have to be... You would have to be crazy, even if it's just your picture.
Yep.
I can't imagine sending someone my driver's license just to prove that I am who I am, unless I were like a celebrity of some sort. And even then, I'm not going to believe it.
7 minutes later, I get a picture of his hand on the desk
Of the fucking...
And it's a driver's license, and it has his picture. It's a Texas driver's license, has his picture, and has his first name and last name signed under his picture. And he is literally holding his hand over the important parts.
And they matched.
The pictures matched. The first name, the last name matched.
It was not a made-up name.
It was not a made-up name.
I still don't believe that to this day.
I
do, because I saw it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I'm not going to believe it. Unless you show it to me, right?
As many bad actors as I've had in my life and relationships and the way people have treated me, I immediately jump to the defense. I immediately jump to, you're being untruthful. You're not telling me who you actually are. There's suspicion behind
because
that.
nobody tells the truth these days except him.
Yeah. So I then say, well, how hard was that? Apparently not as hard as telling me you didn't want to talk to me anymore. And look what I had to go through for you to tell me the truth instead of ghosting me.
And I like how you flipped it on him. Not about the fact that you were walking away with your tail between your legs because we had just spent, an hour?
At least.
Trying to... Because we were ready to hunt down the person whose photos that were to tell them, like, hey,
somebody's using your photos, yeah.
And I know me specifically, I sent the logo on his jacket to multiple people around here saying, hey, whose logo is this? Like somebody has to know.
I am Google searching the hell out of what that logo would look like if I had to explain it in words.
And my friends are texting me back like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've asked attorneys, everyone. Somebody has to know, and no one did.
Then I asked him the question. I said, why ghost me when you can't just be a man and tell me the truth?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. At the same time, though, I don't appreciate being treated like that. What, that I called you out because you were being shady as hell?
Right.
And I said, fair enough. If the situation were reversed, what would you have done? And not what you did, he says. I was sitting here working at my desk and was like, wait a minute, how does he know my last name?
But that doesn't answer your question either.
It did not. So I just said, so that's all you cared about? Not that you ghosted me and not that you just literally cut me off after having great conversations. If you don't want people searching you out, don't put it in your Snapchat username or unlink your phone number from your profile. It's Snapchat that helped me determine what your last name was. I didn't run a background check on you. I didn't do any type of searching or social engineering against you.
No, because you have to pay for that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not paying money for this.
That's at least day 10.
Yeah, I mean, do some exploratory on my compensation.
Venmo me.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
$20 and before I run any sort of background check on you.
Yeah, and I said the case of boom, gone, no trace of you spelled out huge suspicion, especially this day and age. To which he responds, you're right. I honestly didn't even realize the Snapchat thing. And I, of course, felt awful. It's not what I want at all. If I had control over my own life, this would not have happened. So at this point, I'm like, look, you got other issues going on. There's been some things like that. And, the first thing that I fired off with, and I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit pissed. Here you are, you're proving who you are, but yet you still decided that it was ghosting me. And you're more worried about the fact that I found out your last name than you cutting off all contact with me because of some insecurities that you have, right? It kind of aggravated me. Mm-hmm. I've given you no indication that I wouldn't understand what you were going through in your life, that you had a cumbersome job or a job that was keeping you to work late hours. Bear in mind that I felt like you lied to me because at the fact now I know you worked until 11:30 on Thursday night, but yet you made plans with me to meet on Thursday night. So you had no intentions of those plans? You just lied to me and said that Thursday night was going to work out perfectly?
I didn't think about that.
Right. I'm aggravated at that. Just be truthful. If you can't meet, say so. And if the people don't understand when you're true to yourself, to hell with what everybody else thinks.
Okay, but anyway. What if they say that they're going to meet, but then they get sidetracked by doing laundry? Because I've done that. I mean, maybe not laundry, but I have.
There's a level of respect that I feel like that. Communication goes a long way. Had you just communicated, had you just said something.
But this is Bumble though, so this is people serious about finding people.
Sure,
mine's from like Grindr.
Your term, GG.
Yeah, I almost said that. Yeah, and don't please don't wait up for me. Please don't get naked and expect me to show up because 9.5
out of 10,
11 times out of 10 sometimes I'm not showing up unless I just am really in quarantine and
I've offered to suck some really mean dick and then turn my phone off and go to sleep. So I've
never done that because I feel bad. I really do. I feel bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, but I'm gonna wake up in the morning and they're still they're gonna wonder what happened.
Yeah, they'll
be
like, what the fuck? Yeah.
And I don't know.
But like I said, I got a little angry and I just said, I said, so is it because you're not out?
That's a good question.
Is it you're not out, you're worried about having a relationship because you're not out, and the complications of coming out. Look, I get it. We've all had to come out of the closet at one point in our life, and those that have not come out, I would tell you, if you're listening to this and you've not come out of the closet, it is a trying time in your life. This is a time in your life where you're putting yourself out in front of everyone and willing to take their judgment. It's a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's we until we can tell ourselves comfortably that we're gay and we're different, we will never be able to accept other people telling us that or thinking that. In my opinion,
I don't know. That's a touchy say, because I don't know that I can. I don't want to say comfortably. See, now I'm like skipping.
I had to tell myself enough that this is who I am, and I'm not going to change. I'll put it to you that way. That's probably a better way to explain it.
I think I'm still in the I'm bi stage. Like, I'm still leaving my options open.
Well, then Bumble is not the platform for you.
No, but that's the thing, though. I feel like I'm leaving myself open to the option that it can be a man or a woman, except my
it
Bumble,
probably just better be a man.
Well, yeah, because my Bumble profile does not say that I'm looking for both. It just says man.
Yep.
But one day that woman's gonna come and she's just gonna scoop me up and take me away, and then I'm gonna be over all the gay shit. I've moved on. Don't call me to go to Pride because I'm with my girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
And
I said, look, I didn't mean to freak you out. I couldn't understand why you just disappeared, and I still don't really understand. I look very much forward to meeting you. Hopefully one day, you didn't have to block me. I thought we were on a good track, and I really hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. He's like, the last sentence that you sent me implies that you were not what I was looking for, which is the exact opposite of the truth. I don't want you to have that impression. And I just said, thank you for telling me that.
This is narcissism.
It is. In the third person from the same person who's texting me.
That basically just said, you just gave me this beautiful, heartwarming story. However, you're implying that story doesn't fit to my situation. No one talks like that.
No, absolutely
We
not.
abbreviate fucking everything. We abbreviate our words and our terms, and nobody talks like that.
The biggest thing that he said to me is that if I hurt you, I'm truly sorry from the bottom of my heart. Believe me, if I had it in my way, in a perfect world, that would have never have happened. That's not an excuse.
No.
It did happen. You chose to make it happen. You chose to create the block. You chose to delete your Facebook. You chose to delete your Snapchat. You ultimately chose not to give me an explanation as to why you didn't want to proceed with meeting or determining if there was a relationship or ability to date. You were the one that chose that. You trying to imply that your life is not in your own control is ludicrous to me.
Well, or to even insinuate, in a perfect world. Well, we're not in a perfect world. Hello,
no.
We're all wearing masks and living in quarantine, and we have to stay 6 feet away from each other, which I personally love.
Yeah.
Because I love being 6 feet away from everyone.
Yeah,
I love sleeping 6 feet away from someone.
Don't hug me.
Yeah, right.
No, absolutely.
I don't like.
But the moral of the story is he and I have been texting since that happened on Monday. Today is now Thursday. He and I have still continued to text. Nothing like what we were before, but just attempting to see. I will be honest with you. I feel bad for him in the aspect of. It sounds like he has a very stressful job. It sounds like he doesn't have really a big support system that's able to help him through some of the things that he's feeling. But at the same time, that's not baggage I'm willing to take on. But at the same time...
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see where the night goes. You might want that baggage. It might not be Louis Vuitton baggage, but you might...
I would take some Gucci baggage.
Oh.
But to be honest with you, I can see that there's a good person behind all of the things that he's moving in front of him to try and create an obstacle, and he's using work and he's using all of this as an obstacle. He sees it as something that evidently he doesn't want to be a part of, and he's not in a position where he feels like he can do anything about it. But at the same time, he shouldn't be seeking to try and create a relationship with someone.
Right, so get your ass off the apps.
Yeah,
that's what that's what Grindr's for.
Shut the apps off.
Don't
lead somebody into believing that there's a possible chance of meeting. Don't lead somebody into believing there's a possible chance of dating you. And definitely don't block someone. At least have the common decency to be like, look, I've been talking to you. I really don't see that there's going anywhere. I have caution about dating you. I have caution about proceeding. I don't want to, or, I would really prefer we got to know each other better before we meet.
That's fair.
And it has nothing to do with COVID. It has nothing to do with, the pandemic and all the things that we're going through right now. It has more to do with just be true to yourself. If you'd have been true to yourself, you could have easily told me, hey, look, I'm not comfortable meeting you on Thursday. And actually, Thursday's probably not going to work because I actually have to work late. And I've actually got a lot going on, and I don't have Friday off for the holiday. And it's just not a good time right now. You'd be surprised the amount of people that will take that. If they get mad because you tell them the truth, well, you don't need to talk to them anyway. There's your proof right there. There's your reason to walk out. There's your reason to, distance yourself. But you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't immediately fire to something negative or fire to something, in their past that triggers them when people do shading things, like just block them without telling them. Mm-hmm. We've all had shitty relationships, and we've all had people that treat us like shit. And it's so easy.
I haven't. My relationships have all been the best.
Yeah.
In case any of them are listening.
Three engagements, no marriage.
That was my choice. Oh. All 3 times. That was my choice. So I'm the one dealing with the internal...
Yeah, but...
demon,
you get it, right? The point
I do.
The point I'm making is that just have the common decency to say so. If you have no plans of meeting someone, don't lead them on. Don't give them the fact of, oh yeah, we'll meet Thursday, and then come up with some goofiness on Monday, Tuesday, and barely text them on Wednesday, and then Thursday night rolls around and you're texting like your good old lost dear friends, and tell me that you've been working till 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. Well, you had no intentions of making a date on Thursday anyway. Was it really that you've got so much going on, or was it that you couldn't fess up to the fact that you had made a date and you knew you weren't going to be able to keep it?
I have so many text messages to send after this.
Yeah.
Now that you're teaching me this, I didn't realize that this was turning into relationship advice.
Not necessarily. It's dating advice. It's tell the truth. I mean, if they don't respect the truth, they're not going to respect you anyway. Respect the truth.
No, and I agree with that because I know for me, so I let them have their first initial question, which is normally like, what's your idea of the perfect date? Which my answer is always the same, right? Like, because I'm lazy. So they've all heard it. They ever get in the same room together.
Pizza in the park.
Yeah, like exactly. Like everyone knows. But my second thing, though, like when it starts getting serious, and at this point we're already texting, right? I've already given you my phone number.
Right.
We've made it past the app, so we've been talking for at least 3 hours at this point,
right? Right.
And I tell them like and people give me shit for it all the time. I get it. All the way around, because I tell people all the time, like, I'm busy, and I am with work and with everything else, because I live alone and I have 2 dogs. Like, I'm a relatively busy person, so I don't have time for games. I don't want to play games, and I don't want to beat around the bush. Like, let's just cut to the chase. Like, either you're interested or you're not. Either I'm interested or I'm not.
That's right.
Usually I'm not, but sometimes maybe I am, right? And so let's just be open and upfront about it. And I've been, I told you about the flight attendant, and I've been on recent dates where before we've even met up the next day, because I move really fast. I'm like a lesbian, so I move really
lickety
fast.
Split.
Yeah,
yep.
But I'm like, hey, if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. And I just need you to tell me, right? Because that's time, I could be sleeping or, feeding my dogs or something. I don't know, And just tell me. And these people still won't tell you. And it's like, okay, so you love wasting time. And that's really great for you. But it's not fun for me.
Dallas, and I hate to pick on Dallas. I mean, Dallas is a great city. But when it comes to dating or dating in the gay relationship mindset, they're extremely pretentious, most of them. Not all of them. There's some great ones out there.
Name one. Just off the top of your head.
Well, I don't know them. I've not met them. They're probably taken. They're not on these apps. I can tell you that.
But they live here in Dallas.
There's a few.
Do I know who it is?
There's a realtor that I know that he and his boyfriend have been together for years.
Okay, well, he's not available.
That's my point. Like, there are good ones here. They're just not on these apps.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count though. That's like when the whole COVID thing started, and everyone's like, okay, but does anyone really know anyone that's had it?
Right,
like,
yeah.
We clearly the news has told us that people have, but we didn't know anyone personally, so that doesn't count. I'm talking about the single ones.
The single ones.
The single ones are garbage.
Yeah,
and we're garbage for a reason, and I'm in that same classification.
Most of them, and please prove me wrong. If you are single in Dallas and you're a gay man, or in the DFW area, I'll even stretch it out. We'll go to Fort Worth a little bit, or we'll go there. But let's just say DFW, right? If you're single and you're a gay man in DFW, and you're willing to tell the truth, and you're willing to stick to your commitments, and you're not pretentious, you're not stuck up, and you're not part of this whole Dallas mantra of what I call the $30,000 millionaire, trying to be somebody that you're not.
They're dead. Those people are dead. It doesn't exist. But okay, I know.
I believe that it does.
I'm going to play this pipe dream with you.
They're just few and far between. There are some of them out there. Most of them relocate to Dallas, and they don't stay single long because they get taken up. Because there are people like you and I who eventually find them. We've not been so lucky, but they're out there. I believe in love. It's out there, and I believe that there is true love. It's out there. Sometimes it takes people longer than others, but there's a reason for it. And I'm
lazy.
I'm not trying to be philosophical. I'm really not.
I'm so lazy. So I'll admit to that. I'm very lazy.
Well,
and I'm set in my ways because I'm middle-aged and I'm allowed to be.
Yes, you are.
I'm the grumpy old man when you walk across his lawn and I yell at you.
You're Clint Eastwood.
And not because you've done anything wrong, but because I'm secretly jealous.
Yeah.
That you're young and living your best life, and I've just wasted away my years.
Yeah, and I would tell you, I think in the last 3 years, I've seen Dallas's society decay.
I think in the last 3 months we've seen Dallas society.
Well, and I mean, as far as dating, there's always this, things will never be perfect in a relationship. No relationship is perfect. I think it's this mantra of social media. It's this mantra of, we see all of these couples on the internet. We see all these other couples that are, maybe on sitcoms or on shows that, they portray that everything's perfect. And really, nothing's perfect, especially in a relationship. People are going to disagree. People are going to get in an argument. People are going to have differing varies of opinion.
Not me.
But, well... At times, people will.
I'm the easiest to get along with. I'm very moldable.
I'm cringing.
But very moldable. Yeah.
Bendable, moldable, bendable.
Not opinionated at all. I just sit back with my mouth shut.
Yep.
So I don't know what my problem is. It's because I'm lazy. I'm telling you. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I'd be married.
But yeah, moral of the story is I'm getting more out of him now that I called him a liar and called him a catfish and made him prove that he wasn't. And it seems like that since I've done that, I get more out of him than I did before because he blocked me.
I feel like us going Sherlock Holmes and Watson really did well because you guys would have just cut it off. Like I said, if it were me, I mean, it would have been shut down days ago.
Yeah,
I'd have been like...
I call it I call it the reverse catfish. I thought I was being catfished. I made the comment that he needed to prove himself, and he did. He proved himself by sending me a picture of his driver's license, and I did not expect that. I expected him to continue to him haul around, and the fact that he would come up with all of these excuses as to why he couldn't send a photo or. Why would I doubt him? Why would I treat him like that? Things of that nature. So,
well,
moral of the story is there is such thing as a reverse catfish. It does happen. I'm fond of saying truth is stranger than fiction. The truth of this is stranger than any story somebody could have made up.
Yeah, we couldn't have made this up. That's why I really wanted that to be our first topic. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, people are either going to have experienced this, which is rare, but they're going to, or they're also going to wonder, is this something that could really happen? Because I will tell you, 2 days ago when we were discussing this, if someone would have said, bet all of your money, I would have bet you are being catfished. All of the warning signs are there.
I would have been broke had I, because I would have bet as well.
Yeah.
And I would have put all my money on the fact that this guy was not real. He was leading me on. He was lying to me. And it turns out he was not. He was just, I don't know. Maybe it's obviously a self-esteem and a self-value issue that he feels like he's not worthy to have a relationship, which is really sad to me. There's people out there that think that they're not worthy because, he's in survival mode, working a job, that's not 9 to 5. It's like 9 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're describing my own life to me right now, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Not that I'm not looking for acceptance, or I'm not. But yeah, maybe I use work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe I'm just really busy, and I wasn't lying to everyone when I told them that. I don't know.
He's let his job kind of rule his life, and I think he wants out of that. He wants to share and spend time with other people and people that he feels like he has a connection with, and until he decides to do that, there's nothing I'll ever be able to do to help him outside of that until he decides that he wants to make a change, and it's cold hard fact. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. I was so excited for you to tell that story, and that's kind of the direction that I want to head with this. I think people need entertainment, and people want to hear something lighthearted and funny, and I think that
at the end of the day, I feel for him, and obviously, I told him, and it's like I'll tell everybody now, I'm not going to pressure him to meet me, Obviously, he's not comfortable proceeding with a relationship. He's not comfortable with dating. He's not comfortable with that because of the things that he's got going on. It just sounds like he just needs somebody to listen or somebody to run things off of, because it doesn't sound like he has a support system.
It sounds like he needs a therapist.
Yeah, and that's sad. But there's so many people out there that don't have access to that, and I think until we start taking mental health and things like that seriously in our country, mm-hmm. We're going to continue to see people fight with this mantra of, oh, my job's the most important thing in my life, when, life's too short to be miserable.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our community, too, as a whole, could really step up and help there as well.
Absolutely. I agree.
I really believe in that. I think that's why it's hard for some people, and I know we've talked about that before, and we'll dive into that at a later time as well, but I definitely, I think that there's a lot to be said about all of that.
I agree.
So, well, I really appreciate you being brave enough to tell me that story.
Yeah,
again,
it's while it is entertaining, there's there's heart and fruit behind the message.
Yeah, no, and that's your life, right? And that's what it's all about. Is telling your stories as painful and as shameful as they are. So, next time we'll go with something a little more lighthearted. I'm still thinking scratch and sniff underwear because I still want to have that episode because it's here and it's real.
Yeah, well, they also have pads that you can put in your underwear so that when you expel gas, it smells like certain things so that it doesn't stink. So
I'm fine with that.
There
it's
could
the
be
scratch and sniff underwear that I have a problem.
There's a lot of
with.
content there. I feel like we need to scratch the surface. But
yeah, exactly. So, I've surveyed 100 people, and so I cannot wait to tell you.
Ding ding, survey says.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Well, thank you. And
absolutely.
We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hopefully, you found some enjoyment in this.
Yes.
And
have a good night, good morning.
Good night, good morning, and hopefully it'll save you from being reverse catfish.
Yes. Yeah.